On this edition of Motorcycle Experience, OPP Constable Anthony Mann enters the braking zone, while my riding buddy Norm Wells and I try to warm up with a cup of coffee on the south shore of the St. Lawrence. Then, as if he knew what was in store for us, during our Winging It segment, contributor Ken Edick discusses touring in the rain. And during her Shifting Gears segment, contributing editor Jenn Martin will discuss the importance of Helmet Month. All this and more as Motovan presents Motorcycle Experience. Hello and welcome to Motorcycle Experience, the voice of motorcyclists everywhere. I'm Dave Hatch, and this week we're coming to you from the Roebling Road Raceway down in Savannah, Georgia, where we're sampling some brand new motorcycles from the folks at Honda Canada. As for our road test this week, we're going to sample a new street bike from the folks at Yamaha Motor Canada. Every once in a while, a motorcycle manufacturer steps up to the bat and presents a motorcycle that appears to have it all: an affordable price tag, good looks, and exciting performance. Well, when it comes to Yamaha's new middleweight parallel twin, the F07, it appears to be a hit right out of the park. Powering the 07 is an all-new fuel-injected, liquid-cooled 689cc parallel twin, said to produce an impressive 75 horsepower and 50 foot-pounds of torque. Here's what Inside Motorcycles journalist Larry Tate had to say after a day in the saddle.
So Larry, Yamaha is super excited about this motorcycle. They've been talking about it coming to our country for months and months and months. I know when I looked at it for the very first time, I was like, wow, nice bike. It's so small. What was your first impression?
Nice bike. It's really small.
Yeah, I mean, compact.
It's really in the line with a whole new philosophy that Yamaha's had the last few years in engine design and also in the overall kind of look and feel of the bike.
Yeah, I think part of the fun of that motor is it feels low. I don't know how they've done that, but it feels like it's low in the chassis. So you get that nice C of G.
Yeah, well, it is fairly low to start with. I mean, the fuel tank is kind of down in here. It's not sitting up top, which is pretty common in a lot of designs now. The rad's fairly low. You can see the engine's canted forward a little bit, which moves a little bit more weight down. It's very short, partly because the transmission has got stacked shafts inside.
Right.
Okay, so they're vertical, so the whole thing is a little bit shorter, which makes for a longer swing arm as allowed, which gives a little bit more stability, while still allowing you a fairly steep front end so you can turn quickly. It's a really nice piece of work.
Yep. And the sound is very distinctive. It sounds, again, a bit like a single, but it also sounds a bit like a twin.
Yeah, well, riding it, I can't hear the exhaust very much, but there's a nice intake roar too. Like they've obviously spent some time on the airbox, getting that kind of a twin, single, triple noise to it. It's very, very different from the whine you get from a four-cylinder bike.
So we like the motor. You and I both agree on the motor. The brakes, it pretty much stops on a dime. You've got those nice discs up front.
It's quick. They're, Yamaha makes their own monoblock calipers, which are very strong and they work really well. The pedal shape on the front discs, I don't know. They say it's supposed to be better for heat dissipation. I think it's more a fashion statement than anything else.
Yeah.
The suspension is relatively basic. The front is not adjustable. The rear, which you can see, has got a lay-down shock. It's almost horizontal. You can adjust that slightly. There's a rebound damping adjuster and also compression on it. The response was fine without it bouncing around, so it's a pretty good job for a fairly basic suspension unit. I think it's great.
Larry, this saddle is quite interesting. I mean, it's really carved in here, and yet it's quite generous and wide at the back. How did you find it?
It's hard to say how it would be over a long term. For the short term that we were on, like an hour off kind of thing, it was fine. The nice thing about it's not that thick, so you don't know how the padding will last, but the fact that it's fairly flat and broad back here says it'll probably be not too bad. The nice thing about the way it's carved away up here is with the narrow bike itself, I mean, you're actually behind the engine at that point. It's nice and narrow, so somebody with a short inseam will easily get their feet. I can get both feet flat in the ground and I'm only 5'8", so anybody, I think, of a halfway normal stature should be able to comfortably sit on this bike and control it at low speeds.
Right. If somebody said, what's your one standout impression, what will it be for this particular bike?
Fun.
Fun.
It really wants to wheelie. As I say, I'd love to get it on a track because it's so light, steers so well. Lots of power, lots of grunt. It's about 75 horsepower, if I remember Yamaha specs properly, and about 45 foot-pounds of torque, which again is really strong.
Yeah.
And it feels like it. I mean, it's strong right off idle. It wants to go. Just say you can tour on it, light touring. I don't know if Yamaha is going to have accessories for it, like saddlebags, or I'm sure GV or somebody else in the aftermarket will eventually.
Yeah.
So you could make it more of a tourer if you wanted to, but just for an all-around bike, if you're commuting, going to school, going to work, or just weekend day trips, it's awesome, awesome value for the money.
Great job, Larry.
Thank you.
Glad you had so much fun
pleasure.
today.
Yeah, it was good.
Hang in there, we've got plenty more experience still ahead. Next, touring expert Ken Edick doesn't wing it when it comes to rain riding. While in Quebec, Norm Wells and I explore the south shore of the St. Lawrence. Portions of this broadcast are brought to you by Harley-Davidson, BMW Motorrad, and Honda Canada.
Welcome back to Motorcycle Experience as our coverage continues down here in Savannah, Georgia. I'm Dave Hatch. It's time now to get some sage riding advice from our longtime touring friend, Ken Edick. But before we do that, let's look in on this season's ultimate ride as Norm and I continue to explore the south shore of the mighty St. Lawrence.
For this two-wheeled journey, Norm Wells and myself decided after exploring South Dakota last year that it was time to get back to work a little closer to home. Our ultimate destination for this trip would be the world-famous Pierce Rock, a huge limestone formation in the Gulf of the St. Lawrence, located off the tip of the Gaspé Peninsula in Quebec. For centuries, early explorers have made note of this impressive rock formation as they made landfall here in Canada. After picking up a couple of BMW K1600 GTs in Quebec City, we headed southeast, using the Quebec Bridge to cross the lower St. Lawrence over to the south shore, before turning east towards the Gaspé Peninsula.
Well, Norm, here we are, Rivière du Loup, and sun has come back out. We had a little bit of rain a few seconds ago, but this is certainly bringing back some memories because I believe it was about 7 years ago on Ultimate Ride number 7. We were right here as part of our Quebec City North Shore tour, right?
Yeah, we just crossed over to begin our trip further back south, back to Quebec City.
Yeah, and I think we saw some beluga whales
Yeah.
on that crossing. It was very cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here we are. We've just spent probably an hour and a half, hour 45 on 20 out of Quebec City on the South Shore. Why did you want to stop here?
Well, this ultimately becomes your first decision point if you're touring this region. So depending on how many days you have, you could take this 185 that's right here at the Rivière du Loup, and that takes you into New Brunswick and down towards the Bay of Fundy,
Right.
The Moncton area. So if you had like 5 days, you could take that tour, do Bay of Fundy, and then come up on the New Brunswick coast
Right.
to get to Campbellton. And then Campbellton, then you would just turn right on 132 and begin the Gaspé tour.
Right. So there's a few choices you can make here if you want to extend your tour and see a bit of Fundy. As far as that 20 heading east for the last hour and a half, it was a pretty straight road, but still scenic. I mean, we had that sort of classic St. Lawrence River Valley, lots of small towns, farms, saw some steeples. Could we have gotten off at some point and maybe done a little sightseeing along the way?
Yeah, definitely out of Quebec City. The first town we went through was Montmagny, and Montmagny is actually a world-renowned town for building accordions, and there was a sign for an accordion museum.
I saw
there.
that,
yeah. And then also about 25 kilometers up the road, there's actually a motorcycle museum, which is out in the middle of nowhere in Quebec. It's like, wow, but apparently it's quite the museum. It's closed on Tuesday, so we're not lucky today. But
Right.
no, so there's a couple things you can do. Again, if you have the time to do it, take advantage of it.
Okay. Well, our ultimate destination for today, our evening stop, is going to be in Rimouski, and that's another hour and change, straight up 132. Straight up, I mean straight east. Well, I guess we're going to see more of the St. Lawrence along the way, and
We're going to see a lot of the St. Lawrence over time, but yeah, definitely this afternoon now it's going to be St. Lawrence on the left all the way up, got a great spot there. And then again tomorrow we'll talk again about some opportunities that you would take from Rimouski. It's a good place to start your tour of the Gaspé.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, the weather, these rides have been perfect. We've had the heated seats, the heated grips, the adjustable windscreen, the cruise control. You picked the perfect vehicle.
I was just going to say, this is the perfect bike for this tour, and that's what these are designed for. Good long-distance touring, and then to give you all the creature comforts that you need to do it.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to some more scenery on the left, and hopefully we'll find that lobster roll or some chowder for our dinner this evening, because we get a lot of this back in Ontario. Don't need any more of this. Let's push on.
All right.
Be sure to tune in next week and continue to follow along as Norm and I explore one of the most beautiful regions of Canada. Meanwhile, speaking of touring, it's time now to catch up with our riding expert, Ken Edick. This week he wants to talk about something we've been struggling with down here in Savannah, riding in the rain. So Ken, this week on Winging It, you want to talk about rain and rain riding. And I know when you're out on the open road, unfortunately someday you're going to get caught in the rain. I know myself. I've had entire days of riding in the rain while on the road. But I wear all the new Gore-Tex, the latest stuff in terms of textiles, thanks to Joe Rocket. I see you've brought some of the real old school rain gear, right?
Well, sure. I mean, it's a big investment to get up to today's technology. And some people may not have convinced themselves they've evolved that far so far. But there are other gears that they can wear, not motorcycle specific. So this is something that I got at a variety of other stores, not motorcycle geared.
Okay. Do you put on anything else before you put on the rain suit?
Aside from whatever riding gear I would normally have, I'm going to suspect that when I run into rain, the temperature's going to drop a bit. So I'm going to start by adding an extra sweatshirt. If I'm wrong, I can take it off later, but it's better than to get a chill once I'm all suited up.
Okay, so you throw on the sweatshirt, then you put this gear on?
No, you still put the rest of your complete riding gear, whatever that might be, jacket, pants, or whatever, then this is your outside layer.
Right.
So it takes a little bit of doing. Make sure you allow a lot of time at the side of the road because it is rubber, but again, because it's not a fashion statement and it has to go over your worst case scenario of gear, make sure you buy extra, extra large.
Right, okay. What about this? I'm a little surprised.
Yeah,
What's the deal on this?
Again, unless you get into the newest state-of-the-art gloves with Gore-Tex and such, whatever you have may not sustain you once you're out in the ride.
Yeah.
So I went to a garden shop and they just had these sitting there for people that are typically messing around in the garden.
Right.
There's a shorter one, vulcanized rubber with, it just looks like liquid rubber was dipped in over top of these gloves.
Right.
They're very, very supple. These ones a little larger, same thing, completely rubberized. There's no seams, no nothing, and a nice big gauntlet to come up so that the rain doesn't come in the inside. However, I can't put a lot of warmth underneath them because I need the dexterity for the controls on the bike. So this is it. If I can keep myself dry, I've won the battle.
Okay, so you're not putting these over your gloves.
No.
These become your gloves.
That is correct.
What about this? Holy smokes. Totes.
They're kind of hard to find. Yeah, Totes is a brand name that makes, I guess they call it intermittent footwear. Again, this is one piece of molding. There's no stitching, there's no zippers, there's no nothing. It's very forgiving.
Yeah.
It has a good grip on the bottom for when you put your foot down. And you put your foot inside of that, tuck it all in, there's no way rain's going to get inside the foot.
And just to be clear, you pull these over your riding boots.
That is correct. That's why, again, buy extra, extra large.
Wow.
Fashion is not your concern for rain gear.
Wow, this is fantastic. Mr. Rubber, so essentially when you're fully encased in all of this, you're able to stay dry all day?
It's got to be pretty bad if I start getting wet after that point. Maybe it's time to pull it in for a while and wait it out.
Right. Nice job.
Thank
Good
you.
stuff.
Be sure to tune in next week as we will once again be tapping into Ken's 40-plus years of touring experience to get the kind of advice that isn't on the curriculum at most motorcycle riding schools. Meanwhile, still ahead, round 2 in the Ultimate Yamaha Challenge. And we'll get some very important tips on shopping for a new helmet.
Welcome back to Motorcycle Experience. I'm Dave Hatch as we continue to partake in this Honda Canada press launch down in Savannah, Georgia. It's time now to kick off round 2 in the Yamaha Ultimate Challenge.
Now, you may recall that last week, Matt Fletcher of Yamaha Canada helped us to kick off something we're calling the Yamaha Ultimate Challenge, a series of 12 challenges designed to help you become a better rider, or perhaps help all of us to explore the various ways we can use our motorcycles out on the open road. Rising to meet the challenge this season is OPP Constable Anthony Mann, or Sir, as we like to call him in my hometown, where we occasionally meet on the side of the road. But that's another story. For now, let's just say that Anthony offered to take on this challenge in the interest of public safety. And today he's ready for challenge number 2.
So Anthony, welcome to the Picton Airport. Are you ready for your next challenge?
Yes, I am.
Matt, do you have the recipe card?
I sure do. Anthony, up next, the Break Zone Challenge.
Oh, okay, and we've got 50K?
That's right.
All right, so the way this is going to work is when I give you the go-ahead, you're going to circle around to the beginning of the course. When you start, you have to accelerate to 50 kilometers an hour on the F07. Constable Smith is waiting with the radar gun to make sure that you are indeed hitting 50 kilometers an hour. When you get to the second cone, we want you to hit the brakes, and you must come to a complete stop with your front wheel inside this box. Sound easy?
Sounds easy.
Sounds easy. If you stop too soon, you lose the challenge. If you stop past the box, you lose the challenge. Your front wheel must be inside this box.
Okay.
Constable Smith, are you ready?
Absolutely.
Matt, are you ready?
Sure am.
All right, fire it up, circle around, and we'll get you going at the start of the course. Okay, are you guys ready?
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Nicely done. Well done.
Perfect.
That was great, Anthony. How'd that feel?
Felt good.
Well done. Well, you know, I think the challenge was to hit 50 kilometers an hour, hit the brakes, bring it into the box. Can you confirm that?
He absolutely did.
Fantastic. I do have a confession to make. I know you're an OPP constable, but let me see that card again.
Yep. There you go.
All right, it does say Break Zone Challenge. Did I say 50K? I actually, why don't we do this at 60K?
Okay.
If you do the same thing again at 60 kilometers an hour, you will win the challenge. You up for it?
Fair enough.
Okay, are you guys ready?
Ready to
Yes,
go.
sir.
All right, let's do this. 3, 2, 1. He did it! Nice!
Great job.
Way to go!
Well, I gotta say, with 2 down and 10 to go, OPP Constable Anthony Mann handled Matt's braking zone challenge with confidence. Now, I hope you were watching closely because that segment really was all about practicing your emergency braking technique. Something we've always recommended you do at least once a summer, preferably early on in the riding season. Okay then, now that we've got you all fired up for another summer, stay tuned because next, professional riding instructor Jenn Martin has some great advice on shopping for a helmet. Stay with us. Portions of this broadcast are brought to you by Harley-Davidson, BMW Motorrad, and Honda Canada. Welcome back as Motovan presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and now that we've got you all fired up for another summer of riding, we'll wrap up our show by discussing what to look for when you go shopping for a helmet. Joining us now at one of the best places to do that, the Toronto Motorcycle Show, is the Chief Riding Instructor at Georgian College.
So Jen, here we are back at the Toronto Motorcycle Show. We've been poking our noses around the Harley-Davidson booth before they actually opened to the public. And I was looking at this helmet display and I was thinking, right, April is always helmet month, and there's a reason why we have helmet month. I guess the main thing is a helmet lifespan is really 3 to 5 years, right?
That's right. I mean, you want to check your helmet, and if April is a month, that's great. Just puts it in our head. 3 to 5 years, depending upon how long you're wearing your helmet or how many times you wear it or how much riding you're doing. It's a good rule of thumb.
Right. So really, if you're taking your helmet on and off, you're wearing it a lot, it compresses, and therefore, really after about 3 years, you should be replacing it.
For sure.
When it drops?
When it drops that sound, yeah, definitely replace it. You don't know what's been compromised, where there's a hairline fracture. You can't see the damage.
Right.
So, I mean, it is the most important piece of equipment, I think, anyway, for a rider. So for sure, invest in another helmet.
And make sure it fits. If you're going to invest, make sure the fitment is correct. You don't want it too tight, you don't want it too loose, no pressure points.
Definitely put it on in the store, and everyone should know. You're walking around, you might look like an idiot, you might feel like you're looking weird, but everyone should know that you're checking it, making sure, because after 5 minutes, if you got some pressure points and you're getting a headache, perhaps that's not the helmet for you.
Right. And let's just look quickly at the products that are available to you now when we talk about fitment.
Yeah.
Like, look at this half shell helmet, right? This year, they've actually got a full adjuster in the back for the headband strap, so you can adjust this as tight as you need it. Like for when you're going up on the highway, you don't want it floating around, you can tighten it up. I just think that's terrific. Again, with the halves, they've got now the visor built right in. So
Perfect.
No more sunglasses or goggles sort of bobbling around. You can go with one of these babies.
And they're great to interchange. You can get clear visors or the smoky ones.
Pops
for sure.
in and out.
Yep.
You know, we're talking about protecting our helmets, making sure they don't fall. What about having something like this? This is great. You can hang it up in your garage or in the hallway or whatever. No worries of it falling off a shelf or getting kicked on the floor.
Definitely proper storage for the helmet.
They've got the universal locks now for the bike, so you can lock the helmet to the bike, any bike. But then, you know, 3/4.
Yes.
Right, if you want to get more ear protection, for instance.
Yeah, reducing the noise.
A women's helmet.
Yeah, and reducing the noise. And the other thing with the visors, they're easy to pop in and out. And if you start getting cracks and, you know, scratches on them, you know, change them out for sure.
Right, and this one allows for the communications now. So many people are going to two-way communications.
Yep, absolutely.
And then check out that full screen.
Well, you know, I like the full face helmets. And this one's a modular one, which is amazing that Harley's come up with. So, I mean, you can flip it up.
Yep.
And put the helmet on, make sure that when you go to ride, pull it back down. But then this also has the
very nice.
The shield, which is
Again,
great.
you don't have to squeeze glasses or get goggles in there.
Yeah.
And those are fantastic. Like for when you're filling up at the gas station, you can just flip it up, go pay your receipt, get a drink of water. Yeah. Off
That's
you go.
right. Yeah.
Wow, and did you see this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the new ones.
They've got the low profile now, and this brings up a very good point. This is a low profile helmet. Harley went after this one. DOT, right? So anything you purchase, make sure it's compliant, right?
And that the sticker stays on. It's not a removable one, which we've seen around.
Yep, that's going to stay there.
Perfect.
All right.
So we're good safety-wise.
Shopping for motorcycles, shop helmets, right? Great stuff. Well, that's it for this week's program, folks. I'm sorry. Track's closed. We're all at a time. So till next week, keep your feet on the pegs and your right hand cranked. Bye for now.